because I've already argued with them.
She showed it to me, but I was 3 hours behind when I stopped to get a signing ticket, so I didn't look at it very long.
Call the regular council meeting at City Hall to order August 21st, 2018 at 7 p.m. Are there any additions to the agenda this evening?
I want to make one addition, and it's just some discussion about the dumpster at the plant under new business.
Any other additions?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to add the dumpster at the plant to new business. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Carries 3-0. Citizens' comments. Jamie, do you have anybody who's supposed to be speaking?
Just pass. I have two copies there.
You guys.
Nick came in earlier and sat down and we kind of talked about this. Those are plans from the engineer, I believe, right?
Yeah, for the contractor, Dan Feist Construction out of Great Bend.
So that's kind of what he has in mind. So I told him he could come and just talk during citizen comments about his plans and kind of where we're at and what we need to go forward.
So this is the rec proposal for the Dillon's building?
Well, the beginning stages.
Okay.
From my understanding, the bids for like the contract workers and everything would still have to be
Okay.
submitted and all of that, but that's kind of the layout that they're thinking and all of that. When we were talking, you know, there's a price on that third sheet and it's a substantial amount of money. The rec itself cannot own any property. So really we need to talk about what the city can do to help make this, if we're wanting to make this happen or not. So
What can you tell us, Nick?
The last time I was here, when I was first initiated the conversation, I think council wanted to see what would possibly go in there, because I think there was just an interest of, didn't want to have the building be a office space and storage space. And of course, I don't want that to be either, be the case. I want it to be more foot traffic coming in and the community be able to come in and use it. Since then, I've been kind of going back and forth, getting measurements thing, and I apologize for not getting the measurements on here, but I was the one that did this, spur of a moment, so I mean, I have it on a big sheet with the measurements and everything. The rec board, we had a couple items, I mean, as far as like a door, and then possibly some storage space by the reception area for our office materials. So basically, you can kind of see where you'd come in, and that'd be a glass entrance where people could drop off forms, you know, over the weekend too, and because I get some at my house, and then we get them outside the WIT Center in the mailbox, and then I get the text at Sunday night that I have forms in there, so I have to run down and get it. But as you come in, you'll see the reception area over to the left. That'll be like an open area, and then also we have the restrooms located there, and two multi-purpose rooms. And I put a game area in the back, and what I like to do with the game area is put foosball, you know, table tennis or maybe a pool table, just some small things back there that could occupy shuffleboard. I mean, that could occupy, you know, kids during downtimes and stuff like that. The multi-purpose room mainly would be, well, not limited to, but our gymnastics and dance and possibly yoga, those type of programs that we could put in there as well. Tomorrow, I mean, we're doing a kindness rock painting class out here on the square, but if it rains tomorrow, I'm out of luck. I have to postpone it to another day because I just don't have I don't want to do it at the WIT Center. But if we had a place where I can go down and lay more material down so we don't get the paint all over the place. I wasn't prepared for it to rain, but Mother Nature doesn't cooperate with us as well. So this would be a good avenue for us to go and take care of that. Also, I looked at possibly doing, I think I mentioned like fifth quarters, like for basketball games where junior high and high school kids, when the game's over, they can come down and go into the rec center and play games and, just meet. We could do dances and that type of thing there. We also do our senior Christmas dinner. We've been doing it at the annex because the WIT Center just not adequately heated over there in the winter time, so we go over to the annex and do some of those. But this is kind of the layout that we had looked at, possibly with the meeting room right here, a small kitchenette you can see as well. And that kitchen would just be pretty generic, kind of like what's over at the WIT Center now, stove, microwave, and your refrigerator. But this is what we were kind of looking at doing with this would be the phase one, I guess, so to speak, with nothing being applied for upstairs yet. I mean, we definitely like trying to get this. On the second page, when I met with Dan, I kind of gave some of the work that they would do as far as the interior, and you can read through that. But and believe me, I think most of you know me pretty well. That's not my type of language right there that I totally understand with the plumbing and the electrical and that type of stuff. But that's what we had talked about. What the bid with that amount of money, what the bid would come in, that is finished. I guess right now what I'd like to see is if this is still something that the city or council would think this still be a good project. I mean, going forward, trying to look at doing. And then if so, what can we do to help cooperate as far as like, well, of course, the price tag, that's going to be on there. I know the rec's going to be able to put some money into it. But I'd also like to try and look at maybe possibly some private donations and that type of thing. If there'd be some individuals out there that would be interested in doing that. I mean, what can I do to help curb the cost? I mean, as far as the demo, I mean, I don't know, I know like over at Stafford, they redid their annex over there, and they had a lot of volunteers that went in and helped demo, and they painted and did a lot of stuff. I mean, I would really like to do that, because I know I could get some people that'll go in and help us do some of those things that try and cut that cost. As far as electrical and plumbing, I don't know what if we could get help from the city on some of that. Just what can we do to team up together to try and make this thing go, if this is something that you think would be productive for our community. And of course, me personally, I think it'd be great. Whenever there's no school and there's teachers in service, there's no reason why those kids can't come over here and come over and enjoy. And yes, I know it's going to be said it's going to be a babysitting service, but you know what? I'm okay with that. I want the kids coming being productive instead of counterproductive, and I think it'd be a good thing for our community in a whole. But I guess tonight, I mean, if this is still something that you think we could pursue, I'd like to, possibly if we could put a subcommittee together with a couple council members, a couple of rec board members, and see if we can have a little sit down and see what we can do to hash this thing out. And maybe there might be some grants available as well. So that's kind of where I'm at. So anyway.
Council?
I like the idea, as far as how we would do it, so you wouldn't be the owner of the building, because you can't do that. I'm sure.
So
Do you have any ideas?
it'd be the
Talk
same.
about that for committee.
It'd be the same kind of situation that we're currently in with having the WIT Center and being in the WIT Center.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to pay the utilities. Pay utilities.
So it's what, it's what would council be comfortable with?
I think this is a good idea.
I think these
I would
types
like
of
to see it
facilities are really well received and well used in other places that I've seen. When you don't see kids out or kids involved in other than school events, because they have the facilities to do if things. There's just, I think it's a great idea.
I sure would like to see something go on over there.
Yeah.
I think it's worth pursuing anyway.
Mhm.
I think get some people around and figure out what we can and can't do and bring something to the full council and see what council's willing to do.
Sure.
With that being said, would there be a couple of you that would be interested in, well, we could try and meet? I mean, because I'd have a couple from my board and we could just try and sit down and,
I'd be fine with it.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Whatever.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
John, would this be something where we could include, maybe include Jamie as well, if she'd be willing?
Yeah, I mean,
With a committee like this, to kind of just, have
staff.
on our
as long
side
as-
as far as numbers and things go,
As long as you're not more than 2 council members.
Okay, but we could put it pretty much anybody with it that we wanted. Okay. Okay. So we would just need 2 council members. Who wants to put their hands up
care.
first?
That'd be fine.
Okay, now I've got 3 people saying that. Good. Who's in, who's out?
rock, paper, scissors?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Don't matter to me either.
I'll do it.
Mark and
What's that?
Mark's in,
That's fine, I'll be in.
Ryan.
Ryan's in. Okay, Mark and Ryan, along with Jamie, if Jamie has some time, just if you need it, if you want to,
I
whatever.
have a lot of time. I have love to.
So,
Well, just to answer questions as far as financials, with the committee, as far as, hey, what can the city do or what does the city do currently? And if that's during business hours, then it is what it is. That's great. Don't bother outside business hours then. Okay.
so, just real quick, so you want me to communicate with Jamie and see if we can, so when I communicate with Jamie, then we can try and figure out a time when we can get together with you 2 guys, and then I'll have 2 guys off the rec board, and
That'd be fine.
You comfortable with that?
Yep.
Okay.
that's all.
Is
I
this
have.
something Lisa might want to sit in on as our grant
We
writer?
might be able to do a community facilities grant for that if the city's gonna own it.
Okay,
I'll call and check on that.
cool.
Good.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay, what else, council?
That's all I, thank you very much,
Just
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, Nick.
Are there any other citizens' comments? Okay. Any other? Okay,
No, 'cause that's
Okay.
the executive
okay,
session.
very good. Okay, consent agenda, approved minutes, regular council meeting, August 8th, 2018, with the additional changes that have already been made, or?
Yeah. So I forgot to finish my sentence. On your copy, it just says, under Lisa, it says council requests. I added in Lisa be at the next meeting. I forgot to finish my sentence, so that's what I changed.
Just make a motion to adopt it with that change.
Within the consent agenda?
Yeah.
Okay. An appropriation ordinance 08-21-18 in the amount of $22,577.50. Hear a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Bryant, Sanders. Any other discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Carries 3-0. Okay. I see budget hearing on my agenda. I take it that's not valid.
No.
That wasn't
Who put
supposed
that on there?
That was me. It was me. I'm
I thought we
sorry.
took care of that last
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
Quit trying to sneak things in on us, Jamie. Okay. Department head committee reports, grant administrator Lisa Cornwell.
The Safe Routes to School grant is due on September 9th for the sidewalks. And the consultants have a plan put together. We need one of each of those. First is the map. And in red is what they suggested for phase 1. And I thought it was a little pricey, so I had them price it out at different levels. Their proposal to fix from the sidewalk where it ends on Monroe from the other sidewalk project to go to the school. And the way that sidewalk would work there by Geraldine Room's house is it would be in the street and curved. So it would just make the street smaller. It's really wide right there instead of cutting into her yard. And so it's that street, 4th Avenue from Davis Plumbing on down to Gray Street. There is a scattering of kids at this end of town. There's a lot of kids down here. They walk in the street on West Street and then up any number of streets to school. They propose doing one on 6th Avenue too. Personally, I'm not so big on the 6th Avenue one. And then from the school up to the Brown Park on Broadway. Because now the kids go through the alley. And they thought that with the school lunch program in the summer, that's a good way to get them to the pool. But this is a pricey project. The construction total for phase 1 is $481,580. So the grant would be, the city's share would be $140,000, and the state's share would be $481,580. And that is on construction phase 1 sheet. So I asked him to break this up because I didn't know what kind of money he wanted to spend or apply for. We might not be able to spend it. We can write the grant and we can either accept it or deny it if we get it. But these other 2 sheets are Broadway, Monroe, and 4th Street. That one comes in at $399,300, and the city's share of that would be $116,160. And you know, I don't know about this. The city's share of the participating cost is $79,860, and they have the city has to pay 100% of the engineering design. Well, if you have somebody do it, do you have to have the engineering design done? I'm just asking. I have no idea. Do you have any idea? I mean, if I was gonna put a sidewalk in front of my house, I wouldn't have to have an engineering design. And so if there's, I don't know, I mean, like, does Mansell have to have an engineer before they
Jeff,
put
you
in
know,
a sidewalk?
Only if you borrow money on bond, I think.
And so I don't know whether we could,
With a grant, it'd have to be
I was
engineered.
gonna
I
say,
just
a
thought
lot
it
of
was
the
a
grant stuff
requirement.
probably has to be engineered.
Yeah.
well, why don't they pay for any of it then? I mean, the engineers come up with this piece. And so why do we pay 100% of the engineering cost and it's not included in the,
Right,
I might ask Matt Messina that question.
okay.
I mean, I just am curious about that since we're having to pay 100% of that. Okay, so that's Broadway, Monroe, and 4th. If we did Monroe and 4th, their share is $273,460 and ours is $79,552. And if we did Monroe and Broadway, which would take you those 2, it would be $292,820, which would be a city share of $85,184. So each one of those sheets at the top, it says what streets we're doing,
Sure.
and then there's the participation, construction, and total city share at the bottom. And the total city share includes the 100% engineering cost. And so what I would like from the council is direction on if you want to go ahead and apply for the grant and which one you'd like to go for. Sid said that we can go 3 times. We can apply 3 years in a row. And so he has phase 1, phase 2, and 3, and that's what, if you look at the yellow, red, yellow, and blue. No, I guess red and yellow. He just did phase 1 and 2. He didn't do a 3. And so he has the other streets in for another project. But, I mean, it's pretty pricey. And they are paying 80% of it, the state, but we still have to pay that 20%, and so it's just whatever, you're thinking that.
Some of these streets have existing sidewalks already.
Have you walked them?
The sidewalks?
Yes.
No. I mean,
Well,
I know they're in rough shape. I'm just wondering if we're gonna be replacing or adding all new.
We'll be replacing,
Okay.
because they're crumbled out. These ones we've walked and they're bad. And the
Right.
one going down Broadway, some of it's gone and it's bad.
Sure.
So you wonder
I
if
just think
there's-
it's easier sometimes to replace a sidewalk than adding it
Add-
into someone's yard,
Yard.
you
They
know, that's.
replaced the entire block in front of my house in like a day. I mean, it was dry and everything.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
I don't know if you need an engineering study to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know either, and I don't want to take anything away from Sid. I appreciate what he does,
Sure.
but, I mean, I don't know.
One, if that's a part of the process
the
for them,
process.
you know, justifying
Mhm.
what, that the work is corresponding to the dollars, maybe
Mhm.
that's why they, if they require it, maybe that's why it is, but I
What
don't.
benefit do we get out of going through a grant other than, because I'm here to tell you, for $116,000, you can pour a lot of concrete without hiring a bunch of people to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Are you going to? I mean, I don't know.
What I'm saying is I think we can probably pour, we may not be able to hire it, but I bet you're pretty close to being able to do most of this for that 116,000 from a private person. I don't know though, maybe I'm wrong.
I have no idea.
Concrete's what, $100 a yard?
Thanks, Jeff.
I was waiting for
I'm
that.
the
Yep.
superintendent, folks.
Yep.
But what's concrete cost?
$100 a yard right at it.
What's a 4 foot by block long?
Well, there's 27 cubic feet in a yard. I mean, you know.
I wish the mathematician was here, he could tell us exactly how much concrete it'd take in a block.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying, though. I mean, you wouldn't have to follow
I mean, you
guidelines.
wouldn't have to follow guidelines if we're gonna spend $116,000.
So what would you do? Would you hire a private company to come in and do it? Would we do it? What would you?
My problem with sidewalks is we have it in our ordinance that if there's a sidewalk in front of your property, you're responsible to maintain, take care of, and replace it. And you go through and start doing sidewalks, and we get into grants, just like we did on First Street.
Sure.
The city is liable to take care of, I mean, it's our responsibility when it snows. If there's frozen rain on that sidewalk, if it cracks out, we have to replace it. Are we tied into the same thing through this grant?
No.
I mean, if tree roots grow underneath of it and it breaks, it's just
Broke.
broke. We don't have to maintain it, because see, that was my problem with that.
Right.
Was that because it was CDBG?
I'm
that why?
assuming, I don't know.
I don't know exactly.
That was part of the grant though.
Yeah,
is
it wasn't part of
That the
staff
city is
unless it-
responsible for maintaining that new sidewalk we put in on
No, the
First Street.
city's not responsible for the sidewalk.
I will say that every city I've ever reviewed has the same ordinance, and I've never seen, because I didn't pay for the sidewalk to be redone on my property.
But you don't
Right.
expect the city to solve it, do you?
No, and they took out 4 of my sprinkler heads too.
Ah, now we get to the real deal.
The sprinkler heads are not fun.
My other thing is where's the city come up with 116,000?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, because that's not something we just write a check for.
Right.
I mean, we can't really feasibly write a check for any of these without putting us in a bad situation.
Right.
So I mean, I guess the city needs to really think about how they're gonna go about getting that money.
Right.
And I don't know what the options are on that. I don't know if John knows, if Jamie knows, if anybody knows.
What was the question?
How a person goes, we don't have the 116,000 to put into it. You know, when we done the other one, it was, well, supposed to be 24,000. It was like 52 when it was all said and done, but
When do you have to go by?
September 9th is when the grant's due.
does it hurt if you apply for it, get it, and turn it down? Does it hurt on the following grants?
Well, this is the Department of Transportation. I don't know. It seems like a waste of time to go through the whole process.
Well, what I'm thinking is if we can't find a way to fund it on the
Uh-huh.
city's part.
Mhm.
I If
But
we
that-
said, hey, we wanna try for this, and then we turn around and go, we can't fund it,
We
but
can't
we got
afford
it,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
then
I could
is
ask
it gonna
Matt
hurt
Messina.
us? Right.
I don't know if I should
'Cause we
ask
don't-
him. I don't know if I should ask that question.
No, I mean, well, but that's the thing, I mean, if we're thinking that we wanna maybe do something, but we need to figure out how we can fund this, but we don't wanna miss the deadline on it, you know?
Uh-huh.
But we also don't want to commit to it and then go, well, we don't have the money,
Uh-huh.
and then we look bad because now
Because
we're not
we-
gonna be eligible to get any other, they're not gonna wanna work with us because they're like, oh, well, they back out.
Well,
You know.
I would guess it might be like that, wouldn't it?
Right, that's
mean,
what I would assume.
would be my thought process.
That's kind of the way it was explained with the last project, I thought.
Yeah.
That if
Yeah,
you don't
I
accept
know.
it, then you're not likely to get another one, so.
We have one council meeting before it's due, but it probably takes you a while, right?
That's not bad.
Not bad.
I would at least see what our options are as far as paying for this.
You know,
'Cause
I would probably
Yeah.
not go with that. I mean, if it was me and I was sitting in your position, I would do Monroe and Broadway.
That's what I was looking at. I think that covers, you know, if kids can get in the north side of town to Broadway, then that's a straight shot to the school, and
And I
then
mean,
it's
I
just the
know
same
that
as the
4th Street-
southeast side of town.
Fourth
on
Street
Monroe.
needs redone, but it's not, I mean,
I don't feel like it's that southwest side is as maybe populated with kids as other areas are.
it,
Is
there,
it?
yeah, there's a bunch of, there's a bunch of kids that live down there.
Okay.
It was one of our biggest areas,
Okay.
was over there. Not so much down this way, but a lot of kids walk to the park.
Okay. Okay.
We don't, when we do budget, do we put in any money towards sidewalk repair of any type
Yeah, on streets,
on streets?
yeah.
Is it tied in with the street fund, or is it
It's in the
separated
street
out
department.
for,
It's listed in the street department,
but it's
Is there
it's
actual
itemized
line?
out?
yes.
We have that.
So
That'll be-
much for concrete and aggregate, yeah.
And it'll be 2019, not 2018, if that makes any difference.
I
It'd be
don't have my
next year's
sheet to tell
budget.
you exactly, but it's $11,000, $12,000, $13,000 about what it is.
Is what we put in it every year?
Yeah, it's about what the budget is for it. Then we have some at the pool and some of those, I mean,
Do we pull much out of it on that stuff?
depends on the year. I mean, you know, we've done some repair around, we've got some curb and gutter we need to repair really bad. But, you know, 2 years ago, we didn't take a lot, last year we took quite a bit. So, but,
Jeff,
we
do
usually pinpoint the places especially if we're in the neighborhood and we're gonna overlay, or we're gonna repair the edges, if we've got 60 foot of curb that needs to be repaired, we'll take that money and designate it towards that to try and get it so that we can repair the whole street as we go through. So it won't do much good to repair the street if we've got 60 foot of broken curb, you know?
Right.
Jeff,
So,
do you have an estimate of what's in that fund right now?
He budgeted,
I can tell you.
11,000 for concrete.
Next
Gonna say I've got
for
a sheet here.
19. Was what's in the proposed. And we were able to make all of the proposed.
I know we're gonna take, of course, it's a different deal, we're gonna take some concrete money at the pool this next spring, I know. We've got some problems we need to repair, but.
I mean, really, even at that, I mean, the only way you're still gonna be able to do it is to borrow the money.
Yeah, our cash flow is down.
Yeah, we spent a couple thousand out of it this year.
And in 10
concrete
years,
for parks,
I mean,
we got
without interest,
$1,500,
it's
so
gonna
it's
run
not
probably
much.
$10,000 a year for a payment. On the Monroe and Broadway, the 85,000. So you're gonna pay probably close to 100,000 for borrowing money. For to me 7 blocks of concrete sidewalk. Eight blocks.
Say, look more into it for full council, let her know by next council meeting, at the next council meeting.
Does that give you plenty of time?
Yeah, come on.
Okay. I think it's a great project, and I think if we're going to end up having to, financing something, then we might as well figure out what our options there are and do what we can with what we'll be able to do.
It would be
You know.
nice.
Well, I mean, that's the biggest thing is, seeing all the kids that are all over the streets, I mean, again,
Your financing can't violate the cash basis law,
right,
so you're probably limited there too.
sure.
I'd like to find out more options on the whole thing and then have full council so we can discuss it then. So, that'd be great.
Fine.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Lisa.
Yeah, no,
Thank you.
it's fine.
This is it's a project that we need, this is something that's been needed.
Just pricey.
Right, well, and it's just a shame that those before us haven't, either haven't thought about or done something, or tried to figure out a way to fund and put money back or something to that effect, because this is and maybe that's something that we can certainly take the initiative to do something that could make this a project that we do from here on out. And, goal would be to eventually have a lot of sidewalks done in town. So, very good. Anything else for Lisa at this time? So as far as what council is wanting at this time is Lisa to wait on doing the grant process so that
When do you have to have it in by?
September 9th.
who is in charge of looking into this process and
Sunday
doing
after
what?
the meeting.
Sunday after the meeting.
Who's in charge?
What do you want, who's council directing to
Well, we need
get
to
the
look at
information
type
that
of
you
funding.
want? Okay,
I don't know what we can and can't do.
okay.
I don't know.
So that's
John,
something that you want,
Jamie, or-
John, Jamie, Jeff, or Jeff and John and Jamie, or whichever way you wanna put it. What do you guys, we need direction here so we know who's
Yeah.
doing what, who's accountable for what, so that when it comes time, we go, well, sorry, Lisa, we didn't have our head straight.
Yep, no.
Well, John will have
Jamie,
to,
John,
I can figure it out. The cash basis laws, I'll call the accountant and
okay.
As far as what our
That's
options
just
are.
gonna, yeah, that's just gonna keep it from running to a bank, really. Because you just can't tie up future budgets.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Lisa.
what about Lisa, one more thing.
You're fine.
The one-way by the library and the.
We have
did
never
you
gotten
ever-
that report.
Okay.
I'll call him.
Just curious.
Yeah, no, we've never gotten that report back.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's been quite a while.
It was
Yeah.
March when they were out.
was it?
Yeah, I'll call on that. I hadn't thought about that for a while. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Police Department report, at this time, I have a couple of executive sessions later, to discuss. Of course, you can see the hiring of a part-timer, and then, looking at a performance and a pay increase in the other one there. Bill and I have kind of been working together on the applicant process within the police department. We've got an interview for chief of police tomorrow, 1 o'clock. And so I'll handle the interview committee. That's kind of what that is about, so I'll handle that at that time. But we've got a few applicants we're working on, background checks and things like that. And as soon as we have anything, we'll bring it to council and let you know. Bill and I have kind of been working on getting some things that have been needed, and certainly within budget and spending and everything. So I think things are looking pretty good at this time. Bill, do you have anything to add?
Everything's going good.
Any questions for Bill?
I'll be standing out in front of the school on first day, Thursday.
So you're saying I gotta wear my seatbelt?
Kansas Co-op
If you'd like a
actually,
free 20 ounce drink, $5 if you don't.
Kansas Co-op actually donated little drink coupons and a couple other things that he's gonna be handing out the first day. And then we're gonna be working on a couple other projects. Some other people have donated money for other little fun things to get the police department involved, so.
With the school kids?
With the school kids, so we're gonna be looking at how to incorporate all of that as well.
We had training down there today, Mark, you know that, for the security system, new security systems.
Yeah, for the Safe Defend, yeah.
Yep, I think that'll be very good,
Mhm.
Cool.
very knowledgeable training.
Very good. Anything
Yep.
else?
I know the system works really well, so very happy with
So
it.
you got your cage in the back of your car?
Yes, cage is in the back of the car, everything's good there.
Good.
It's, all right.
Come on now, Bill.
Hey, it'll work.
That's what we like to hear.
Cage or crate? It's a cage. Not a real big one, but it'll,
Not like this.
yeah.
It's cozy for a fat boy my size, guaranteed.
Okay.
I don't plan on getting in it somewhere.
No, either.
Moving on to Fire Chief Sanders' report.
I don't have anything.
Anything for Fire Chief? Man, you need a bonus.
I know,
You just in and out and entertain
Just wait till the
emotions.
day he says I need to spend 10,000.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of.
I'm saving all my,
Saving it all
saving
up.
it all up.
Well, I guess that's fair. It's only one. Okay. Moving on, City Clerk Jamie Getty. Where should we start?
Well, so we're having the car show Saturday. That's where I'm at with that. I need someone to volunteer to be the league, like the delegate forms. I think Ryan, you were it. So I need a delegate and an alternate. Whoever would like to volunteer.
Man, you guys.
Whatever.
Isai,
There you
Two are right there.
Okay?
Isai and Jim Dorn. That's right.
You snooze, you lose.
That's what happens when you don't
Well,
show up.
bother
There you go.
I don't think they do much.
They don't do
They
anything.
don't do anything.
Well, at least they're there. So who's the alternate? Who's the?
Jim's really gonna demand that bonus.
But Jim is the one in charge and Isai the alternate.
There you go,
Sounds
that
good.
works.
That's okay.
Does council ever go to those meetings? Anybody ever go to those meetings?
I went to the conference last year, the league conference.
Never knew about him.
They do. They have a big, either Wichita or Topeka alternates or something.
Is that the October or April conference?
October, the April one, people probably should have went,
Yeah.
but
I'll be going in October. I know at this time. So, yeah. We can get you some details on any of that kind of stuff, guys. Just
So-
ask the chief information officer over here.
yeah.
You are.
I sent you all an email with information about a training that I'm looking at. I feel like with the turnover, I explained it all in my email, with the turnover, with new I think it'd just be good for a refresher for not only the governing body, but for the entire city, to kind of get on not only the same track, but to kind of restate their vision. Like, I feel like the vision has been lost. We need a plan.
Sure.
You know, Jeff and I have talked a lot. There's a lot of things that need repaired, and just, I mean, fire after fire, I feel like it just continues to happen, and we don't have a plan to fix any of this stuff. And without that, I feel like it's just putting out fires, and I want to be a little bit more proactive. We both want to be more proactive on getting some of this stuff done and moving forward, because I feel like the past year and a half has not only been a struggle, but it's shown a lot of potential and light, and I feel like we need to continue that. And to get them out here, I think it's under my spending limit, so if you guys don't tell me a date, I'm just gonna set it and you guys are all invited. It's $865 for them to come out, and
It's what, a 4-hour?
3 to
training?
4 hours just to kind of go over everything, and then they also do, like, we can start talking about like strategic planning and stuff like that too, if that's somewhere where we want to go. Or
Yeah, strategic plan would be good, given all the water issues you're facing in there.
water and sewer.
Which I told Jamie when she brought this up to me, because she was kind of looking for a little bit of direction, I guess that would be fair to say, is how do I go about this? Because I think this is a great idea. And I said, well, just for the same reason she spoke about, you know, this is we've had a lot of issues as far as employees and what roles are as an employee of the city, what our roles are as council members or as mayor, as department heads and things like that. And this training would touch on some of that as well, which could, one, make our time here less than 3.5 hours in a meeting. You know, those types of things. So I told her I thought it would be a great idea and that I'd be willing to attend. And I thought it was very generous of her to give us an option of maybe come up with some time that would work for us, that she would work with us to schedule. But I said, otherwise, I says, you know, we'll ask the employees to be in attendance, mandatory attendance, and council, of course, they can decide whether they want to be there or not. But I think it's certainly something that is very, very, it's a great first step as far as getting that taken care of, getting some things understood, the vision, and a great learning process, a team building exercise. So
I don't have a problem with it. I guess the biggest problem a person's gonna face is you can't do it in the middle of the day and take every city employee out of the city.
sure,
Yeah, what are they gonna do with the city employees though? I thought it was just department heads and then council.
They said that we could incorporate the city employees as well to get everyone on the same page.
so
They
it
don't-
wouldn't
I
be
mean, they
something
don't-
where they wouldn't be there the whole time. It's maybe they'd be there for a
We could-
portion of it.
We could look into, yeah, nothing is set in stone. This was from a couple conversations, and she sent over a proposal to get things going, so, I mean, nothing's set in stone of what's even gonna be discussed. We haven't got, I mean, we've got a little bit into it, but not a ton, so.
I spoke with Jamie here a couple of days ago, and I think it's a good idea. I'd like to see us go ahead and pursue this.
Would it all be there? All the council members could be at this event?
You'd have to do a special.
It'd have to be a special meeting.
So it'd be within a special meeting to do the training.
And I guess if the citizens wanted to sit there for 4 hours and listen to it, because it is open to the public, if it's a meeting, they can.
They could be there too.
Yeah, we could do a special meeting or a workshop, huh? Or would it not
Could it be
qualify as
a workshop?
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, you just.
It's
A workshop within a meeting. Meeting is.
Well, right, but you'd have to go through the same process of.
By workshop, it's still just like a meeting.
Right. Okay.
It's
So,
just
yeah.
defined as a workshop.
So does anyone have a preference on like
What
an
time
evening
works?
or a Saturday morning? I mean, I know school's about to start and everyone's about to probably get really busy, but
My personal preference would be a Saturday, but I'm willing to do whatever the rest of council would like to do.
Remember, if we bring employees in and we're requiring them, we're paying them overtime for 4 hours. Or an hour if it's a portion of the time. We can't require them if it's overtime.
I just would, I mean, I'd defer to them, but I think it would be kind of a waste if we're there. I'm not saying they wouldn't learn anything. You do have department heads for a reason.
Right. But I think some of our problem within the city is that our employees don't understand that we have a process in place.
But that's the department head's
Well, that
job
too,
to teach
that
them.
too, but also within that, you know, it's an opportunity to learn something as well. So, I mean, tossing it either way, I mean,
Could record it and let them watch it.
Or we can just go through it and then we can have an all-staff meeting.
that would
Could
be a
do
great
that.
idea. Take materials that we've learned and things within the meeting and then sit down.
Because I still plan to eventually make like the new council packets and, I mean, it's all really still on my list.
Yeah.
One day I'll get through it all.
I think that would be a great idea if we just did department heads and governing body. And then we could create, you know.
John,
could-
you wanna sit through that too, don't you?
Sure, you pay me.
you
No,
could
actually, no,
create-
you don't have to.
You could create
4 hours would be kinda
some kind of something to sit down with the employees afterwards and go over.
Yeah,
Council, good thoughts
Uh-huh.
there?
as far as the
It's fine.
time, I'm not sure of the calendar, but, you know, Saturday, for sure in the morning, I'll be in.
Yeah.
Early morning.
Like
Why
a,
don't
like
you
a,
supply
like an 8
supply
to
the
noon.
donuts and juice and
I will
coffee?
get donuts,
like a-
juice and coffee.
will like an 8 to noon on a Saturday be a
I'm fine with
good,
that.
That'd be fine.
be able to clear your schedule for that?
Yeah.
Okay,
You have that.
Just get us the dates.
perfect,
As long as we're not in corn harvest.
right.
So not next Saturday, but certainly.
Saturday, we are gonna have the square blocked, obviously, since it's a cruise around the square. So we're gonna be blocking the roads from 8 to 4. And there is actually gonna be a dunk tank. If you guys want to sign up for any of that time to be in the dunk tank, I'm more than willing to put your name down
I'd
and
love to, but I'm gonna be out of town.
$25 a ball and I'm in.
you can make us some good money.
$25 a ball and I'm in.
So, just putting that out there. If you'd like to sign up.
I'll be
Or if you wanna help,
I'll be running sound,
We'll be-
so
we'll be out here, so hopefully with
It's cool,
everything in
Jamie.
order.
it's cool.
I think that's it.
Anything for Jamie?
Nope.
Okay. City Superintendent Jeff.
I think the first thing on the list is probably what we wanna do about the truck.
Okay. Did everybody have that sheet that Jeff left here on the table?
Yeah.
I don't see any of those options as being a bargain.
You say 2,000 something a month, and you have to sign up for 6 months, or 6 years, I mean.
One of them's 4 and one of them's 5, I think, Ryan, is the way it was set up. Was it 48 and 60, I believe?
60, yeah, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
28, yeah, okay.
Those trucks are 2013s. They just came in off lease. They did not quote me at 2018 and 19. He priced at 19 to me for 130, but he didn't quote it out as a lease or a lease purchase type deal. I didn't figure it was in the reach of where we
Yeah.
wanted to go, so I didn't see any need to do it. I had a long conversation with Jim the other day, and I know he's not here, but he had a good point when we visited that, you know, with the amount of miles and hours that are on this truck, if you get 9 or 10,000 hours out of a motor like we have out of this one, it'll last 10 more years pretty easy. You know, that is providing nothing else breaks down. I know you're dealing with an old truck, but after seeing those leases and the rentals are $2,800 a month. So, you know, it didn't look like there was any bargains there either. And and there is a guy in Dodge City that buys bodies, like ours down there with a blown motor, but they're not gonna give you anything for it. So, I don't see as there's a lot of options there.
What did you say the the cost of replacing? what it was?
17, about 17,000.
Well,
That's just
it was
around.
18.6 at Marmy's, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 17 at Pratt, 18.6. And there are some things that are gonna have to be replaced on that truck when they put that motor in, because we did some deletes on it after we had some problems when we first got it, so. You know, it's gonna be 19,000. Yeah, it won't miss it very far, one way or the other. But it's still better than 130, and it's better than leasing one. It's better than renting one. So, still have, I think, a 336 warranty on the motor, you know, when it goes in, but it'll be all hours, it won't be miles, so. But
Thoughts?
The truck with the blown up motor right now, I mean, does it just make a noise or is it
it's
drivable at all?
Hammered hard.
Hard?
It will move, but it's,
I wonder if it was tick or
no,
hammer.
it's not a tick. It's not a tick.
I just think you don't have much option but to put a motor in.
I think you're pinned to that.
I mean,
That's the
if
lowest option.
we could tell him to sit on it and let it sit in the plant and not ever do anything with it and suffer with what he has, and we still have a $50,000 truck sitting there that's
That's
worth
not
nothing.
doing anything for us that we've already put an investment in. I don't think it $20,000 to replace that you're hurting yourself on that investment. I think you're helping that investment, but, you know.
That was a
getting quoted out of-
discussion, that
getting
was a
quoted out at
discussion that was brought up when we
$130,000 for
bought
another
it,
one.
you know, that there was always a chance that we'd have to put a motor in it. Sure.
Buy anything used, you stand
I
that
mean,
chance.
yeah.
Sure.
I mean, you get the 30 feet or 30-second warranty when you buy them that way, that's about what you get.
And they were willing to take that gamble at that time at that investment, you know.
But
How long have you had that truck, Jeff? 4 years?
3.5. I think we got it 3 years ago in May. We bought it in April, but we finally got it in May.
I was gonna say, I know it was bought just before I got on council.
Right,
Yeah.
right, it took a while for you to get it. I remember that.
Well, you know, we had problems with it bringing it up here.
Right.
I mean, there was, and they stood behind it, but, you know, those, with the miles that are on that truck, you know, there's a lot of hours on those miles. I mean, a lot of hours. We run it, since we've had it, we run it between 800 and 850 hours a year. I mean, you know, that's a third of the time that we're here. And we'd probably use it more if we hadn't had it tore down a couple of different times, you know, for repairs and stuff. But I mean, we use it every day,
This is at the
every
end of
day.
July. Would we be pulling that out of like equipment reserve or something?
Probably have to take it out of equipment reserve.
I mean, there's 90, the cash balance is 95,000,
That sounds close.
95, 66, 84. That was current up to the end of July.
Complete the cash for the equipment reserve.
No, you don't.
Oh, what do we? What else do you expect before the end of the year?
Well, that's what I was gonna say.
You wouldn't think you'd use anything else out of the equipment reserve before the end of the year.
I don't know what it would be, unless it was something major that would happen to something, but I don't think so. We don't have any, you know, we don't have any purchases looked at in the future at all. You know, just trying to keep stuff together.
Jamie, does that equipment reserve, don't we roll money into that every year?
We try to if we can.
But we don't actually do that till the end of the year, correct?
The transfers,
Right,
right, and the transfers are down this year.
right. I know that, I didn't know if you had a number on what we were planning on transferring. That might have been one of the
I think that might have been
places
one.
we had to cut last year.
I think we did.
This year's budget.
Yeah, I think we did, I'm
as far
pretty
as
sure we did.
transfers to make,
Yeah,
but I didn't know, I don't remember what we put.
Taking it below 80,000.
Yeah, but that's what I was trying to
Yeah,
figure out.
knowing what's gonna maybe go into it if
Well, and then what we
the loader
figured
doesn't
for
break down
19.
or the dump truck doesn't break down or, you know what, I mean,
I mean, that's what I told Marshall today, I like to be the superintendent that comes in when everything's dying, you know? It's just great to sneak in on Tuesday night and find out what's broke next. I mean, it's, you know, it's not anybody's fault,
No.
it's just, the equipment is older and it does take repairs, and we've
Sure.
had some high repairs this year, you know?
sure.
But we use the equipment every day too.
Right,
I mean,
It's-
there's,
be different if it was just sitting there.
yeah, can't break down when it's sitting in the shop.
Right,
But,
it's doing what it's supposed to do.
and if you get 8,000 or 9,000 hours out of that motor, that truck should last 10 more years. And then by that time, maybe we'd be in a different situation where we can step out and buy one, you know, sorry.
This is the. We had to take out our, to make the water and light fund work for 2019's budget, we had to take out even the transfers from 18.
All of them,
$316,500, yes, from water and light. That's $175,000 to the general fund that's not going. 29 to capital improvement, 52.5 to equipment reserve, and 60 to water and light surplus. Cause that, I mean, that's with the meters, I mean, that took your. I mean, I think this is, and I mean, I might be wrong, but this is the trickle down effect of all of that happening.
It was just half of it, that's what it was.
Thoughts? I
Cause
have
all of those totals are, we have taken out for 18, and then for 19, we propose to not even do any of them, so. And you, I mean, the water and light is our revenue fund. That's how
Right.
the city makes the money to
That's
continue.
it.
but are we transferring anything from 18? At the end of 18?
To capital improvement or equipment
Equipment
reserve.
Equipment reserve.
It's not looking like we'll be able to. I mean, maybe at the end of the year we'll get a surprise, but when we looked over the budget, there was no way. Everything was in red. Horribly. But that's, but the budget. and
On the
cash.
backside thing, you know, with the other truck that you do have, you know, who's to say that's gonna, you know, if we say, well, we're not gonna fix this one, we're gonna wait, and we go straight to just that one, that eliminates the extra productivity that they can have two trucks in the air, more time on the guys working on a project. Backside is if that truck goes, then there we are.
It's not as much that as it is emergency stuff.
Sure.
I mean, we rely on those trucks 24 hours a day.
Right, so, I mean, any way you
Well,
look
I
at
don't
it,
see how we can't not fix it.
I think
Right.
you've gotta fix it, but then it just makes me worry when you look back at those numbers and you see that you're not gonna really be able to put anything in there at all, and you're going,
Why don't
to
you
take it
guys
to
let us look at it in the
$75,000.
office and we can report back to you instead of sitting here wondering
Sure.
what's going on?
right, if you could get us a pretty solid idea where we're at.
Cause you have the, it'll be about, what'd you say, 17,000,
Yeah, about 19.
19?
Is the truck still down at Pratt?
Sure.
It's
He
here.
never left here.
Oh, they come up here and looked at it?
Yeah, it's in the plan.
Yeah.
We've got it stripped.
If we can get a solid idea where we're at on all that, then you guys can make a call.
I don't see how we're gonna be able to avoid that, but yeah, I'd rather have some more information on this.
Council okay with that at this time?
Yeah.
Also-
Or possibly ice storms happen.
Well,
I was gonna
I
say,
don't-
we need to be,
I mean,
you're
I
probably,
wanna get it fixed, I just don't know.
you're probably, what, 3 weeks out on having it done, or a month?
I don't know. There's no way of knowing.
right.
You know, I could call in the morning, make an appointment, but it might be a month before they take it. And that's probably what worries me the most. It's been down a month now. You know, it's down another month before they get it in and say they keep it 2 or 3 weeks. That puts us into the middle of October. So,
I think pending what Jamie and Jeff come up with here, you know, that's when you can make your call, because if you're not gonna see anything coming in there, you're gonna deplete that fund. I think you need to have a pretty close to full council before you do something like that, in my opinion. That's just my opinion.
Like to get full council here first.
Yeah.
Well, but again, I'm just saying. They will, I mean, you make it known to everybody, this is coming up, this is important. If they reserve the right not to show up, then that's okay, then that's their deal. So. Anything else on that part, council? Jeff,
that's all I have.
anything for Jeff?
Jeff, I've had a few minor complaints regarding the weeds in the road, particularly on 5th and 6th. So if somebody could get over there and kind of take a look at,
We've been spraying on the days that we can.
yeah. Well, I've told the people who complained that you've been working on it, but
But the city's, how do I wanna say it? The city's ordinance says that the consumer's responsible for those to the center of the street. I mean, we spray them. Some people take care of them, some people don't.
It's actually
So-
the property owner's responsibility from the easement in the middle of the street all the way into their alley. So that's why we've been working on people not putting in grass clippings in the street, and that has become a total nightmare. So we might be changing our process of complaints. So that's something I am gonna be looking at as
And that's
well.
part of the reason your water backs up during the rains too. They shoot them in the gutter if it goes into storm drain.
I've been trying to be courteous and nice, and it hasn't gotten me very far, and people have been kind of rude about it, so we're gonna do some changes on the policy and procedures in the office and taking care of those issues.
Right.
I think some of that stuff's blatantly done.
Oh, I think so.
And if it needs to be enforced harder,
Well,
Yeah,
and that's
we
the
can
problem that
issue a
we're,
citation
that's the
on it,
problem
but-
that we're getting is we're making, you know, Bill's been very helpful. Hey, this complaint happened, so we got it taken care of. Well, now we're running into, well, this person does it, this person does it, this person does it. So I'm to the point where it might just, Bill can go, when he's patrolling, if he sees it, he'll just start issuing tickets because,
And they can come to municipal court and deal with
And
it.
you take a donation on that, it'll probably slow it down.
cause I mean, we've been trying to work with everyone and making phone calls and having conversations.
yeah, if they're,
So-
if it continues to happen.
Well, it's a case of, just a general case of I am who I am, but why don't you pick on them instead of me?
Right.
And it's, everybody's equal in town, and if we want a nice town, we need to follow our rules and make our town nicer, and that's what we're trying to do here. And if people don't wanna jump on the boat, they need to jump off the boat. I'm sorry, that's where I'm at on it. And if they'd like to give me a call, they can give me a call. If they'd like to give you guys a call, they can give you a call. That's just the way it is. You know, but we've gotta do what we've gotta do, because when we have to raise some rates someday, and I know everybody gets scared when we hear that, because things are malfunctioning due to the negligence of the people in the community who don't think that way, then we're the bad guys because their bill went up because we're having to replace the sewers that are screwed up because of what they've done. And I'm sorry, that it is what it is. I mean, that's exactly it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm just saying. So we got to take care of our town and our infrastructure, and it's on all of us. So that's where I stand with it. But I appreciate everybody's effort in trying to enforce what we need to enforce because it's becoming more of a problem. And as you look at these sheets and try to find money to pay for things, I get scared. So that's my soapbox. Jamie, following on that, anything?
John?
My turn?
Yep.
Stafford County Economic Development is doing a meeting on the Rattlesnake Creek, Lima, on Monday.
7 to 10
Wow, 7 to 10.
p.m.
If
I'm
anybody's
gonna
interested.
try to go. I don't know, I know Jim was, I think he's in Kansas City, I was gonna talk to him. I would imagine he'll probably go as well.
Did you forward that email to Jim and Dakota?
When is that?
Monday, the
Monday.
27th.
I only saw something late this afternoon and just wanted to make sure to bring it to your
I
attention.
told
Marshall
Jamie
should.
today, this morning about it as well.
What time does that start, you said?
7 o'clock
Seven.
at the ENX.
I'll try to be in attendance.
See if I can make it there.
Is that an issue of too many council members being there, or as long as it's?
Just
It's
still
not, yeah, it's not
stay away
As
from
long,
each
you
other.
know, sit with, just don't sit together.
There you go.
You guys can be together, you just have
Can't
to
talk about city
be above
business.
talking about city business.
kind of like if you all went to the same church, you're gonna have to have a meeting next Sunday.
Right, okay. Okay,
That's all I have.
thoughts for John, anything?
Nope.
Okay, on to me. Like I said earlier about the police chief interview that I have tomorrow. I have the people in mind that I'm gonna have there, but I was wanting to ask for one council member to be able to sit in. I understand that it's short notice, and if you can't make it, that's fine. Going further in this process with other applicants, if we have some, as far as full-time employment with the police department, I'd like someone to be designated from our group to sit in on that. My plan is to have myself, Amy, Bill, the sheriff, also the municipal judge when she can attend, and a council member to sit on our committee. The interview for tomorrow is at 1 o'clock upstairs. If anybody wants to volunteer,
I'll do it.
everybody okay with that?
That won't work for me tomorrow.
Sure. And in which we could even do something where we rotated through council members too. But I just wanted to have some representation from council on the board so that, you know, your thought, a council member's thoughts are different than my thoughts. I mean, everybody's thoughts are different, but you get from a different standpoint, so. Okay. This time, that's all I've got. Unless you have anything for me.
Nope.
Okay. Moving on to the old business section with the roads.
The only thing, I talked to Jeff about it today, and I wanted him to get a cost on what it was gonna cost to survey Fifth and West Street. We talked for, 45 minutes today. I think we have a plan that might save the city a bunch of money.
We also need to know where our boundaries are
We need
before
to,
we get started.
and that's where we need to start it, and he didn't, the guy's gonna be through sometime this week, right, Jeff?
Yeah, he's a guy that does a lot of surveying for us. He did it when we annexed the shortstop in. He did the deal at the church. His name's Randy Anderson from Great Bend. He does a lot of surveying. He's done a lot for us. He does a lot for the county. So he's pretty familiar with what goes on here. So he wanted me to kind of sketch out or mark on a map what we wanted surveyed, and then he'll try and get me a cost by the end of the week. But it's gonna be terrible extreme. But,
I think for
we
the
kinda need
first
to know
part from the highway to at
from the
least
highway to
Campbell's.
Prairie and from First Street south to the railroad tracks on West Street.
But I think we probably need to jump on the south side of the grocery store as soon as they're done in and out of there all the time, getting something done with that road.
Sure.
Cause all the traffic that's gonna be coming in and out of there with trucks is not gonna make it any better.
Sure. Once you get all those.
You think
Well, on the
road-
driveways, the approaches have been changed out there, so that's gonna make it a little bit.
Well, I don't know as the road's moved, but we still need to know where our boundaries are when we go to dig in the ditch.
It's pretty narrow. The street is only 40 feet wide, and the approaches on the south side of the grocery store are right at the 40-foot boundary on the north. And when you take about 6 or 7 foot of ditch out of there, it makes it pretty narrow.
That's all the gravel and sand road.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so, and we don't have a drainage, we've just been covered up with stuff. We don't have a drainage for you yet, but we're gonna try and get it shot yet this week, but we don't foresee it being much more than minimal from Santa Fe going east, so we'll do what we can. There's been some culverts taken out over the years. You know, really, the only one left in there is the one in Hamples. Everything else has been taken out. So,
So you're gonna survey from,
we're gonna shoot ditch height and drainage height to see how much drop we can get going into the highway.
from VFW to the highway?
Yes. The rest of it originally was tipped to the north, even though it didn't go anywhere. There was kind of a ditch on the north there to the west of Santa Fe, clear back to Prairie. But that's not really where the problem is. The problem really starts at Santa Fe and goes east. So we'll
Right.
see where,
but I
especially
think
on
we
the
need to get
east, and
everything
on the
surveyed
west
so we
end.
know where. That way, when they're shooting it and they're looking at the south side, how far over we can go and how much.
And sometime in between the start and the finish of that, we're gonna have it all located so we know exactly where the phone line is. That's, phone line's really our only problem, I think, down through there. And manholes. But,
And was Golden Belt working on getting fiber out there?
They're running fiber to the school. That's the end of their fiber run there.
Because I know I talked to, I can't remember his name with Golden Belt, and he said they're wanting to get fiber to the grocery store so that
Oh,
location,
it's on the pole right there.
is it on the
Yeah.
fiber's on the pole?
Yep, it's on the pole.
Okay,
So,
okay, cool. Well, I just was, if they were gonna have anything underground, getting
no,
it done
it's all,
before they do
theirs is all
that.
overhead. The only underground lays beside our conduit going around the front of the grocery store, in between the cabinet and the transformer, so everything else is above ground there. So, anyway,
I didn't know that was fiber. I thought it was,
they don't bury theirs. They
Really?
keep theirs in the air.
okay, cool. I just wanted to
So
throw that
they
out.
wrapped it right alongside the regular cable.
Cool.
They spun it today,
Okay.
so.
Very good.
So after you get that surveyed, they're gonna be able to tell us what type of material we're gonna be able to put on that road.
We're just gonna get widths, that's all we're gonna get.
We're gonna
We
find
want-
out where the property.
We wanna know where the
actually
property
is.
lines are.
Okay,
No, we're just gonna have it
What the city
surveyed
needs.
for width, so we know how much we have.
okay,
But we don't have any, I mean, we're not gonna hire any engineering done to do that, no.
okay.
We've just
I
we've kinda come
think
up
a
with a
person-
plan that we think will work, at
Once
least.
we figure out what that south ditch is, where our property line is, and we got to looking because I did mark some of the phone stuff.
Mhm.
It's not all in the ditch over there.
A lot of it's in the road.
A lot of it's in the road, so we think we can actually put a ditch on the south side. And then if you pull that ditch up and bring it back onto the road and put some, I don't know, probably AB3 in there. And then I think we can take enough asphalt millings, put asphalt millings in there.
Kind of work them together, we think we can get some kind of a base
You
there
can
that
get a
won't be
base in
muddy. The north side of the street's gonna have to be raised up, because the concrete approach is probably about
Right.
4 to 5 inches above where our dirt is now.
Right.
So, but we also have to understand that we've got manholes in there and that stuff too, so we still need to be able to locate them, no matter what material we put on there,
Right.
so. We shouldn't have any problem, but should we have a problem, why we need to be able to find them, so.
Okay.
But we think we can blend something together and get a good enough base that it won't be concrete and it won't be like asphalt, but it'll be better than mud, so.
Yeah, I still don't like the idea. As far as, we gotta get a good road. I mean, those trucks are gonna be turning in there, tearing it out. I mean, I don't know, what you guys, everybody
You
else
can't find
thinks.
money to put cement in for sidewalk, how
It's
you gonna
only-
find money
It's
to
only
put?
200 foot,
No, it's 450
not
to
to
the,
their driveway,
450 to the driveway,
to Hample's
to
driveway.
Hample's driveway.
So what's it cost for 200?
I mean, you either
I
pour
don't
it back
know.
past there or
That's-
you
that's
track
what
it
I'd
the
like.
first 200 feet, I mean, you know.
Bet you by the time you pay someone to do 200 feet of concrete, it's $60,000 or $70,000, bare minimum. And then everything the city owns is underneath concrete.
We'd have to bring all of our stuff up, you know, we'd have to, we don't have any
You ain't
choice.
gonna be able to bring all the sewer stuff up.
We'd have to bring our manholes up, but, you know, we'd never be able to get in and tap on it again, on anything there. So,
I would just like a price from somebody that tells us what's it gonna take to put concrete in there. Or asphalt.
yes, he told me tonight he'd figure it up for you, I'll have him figure it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's
I-
a,
I-
I think,
instead- instead
But
of
don't
going
you
up there,
think, don't you
yes,
think
I'm
you ought to
not-
go clear to Hamples? I mean, I wouldn't be turning them trucks on that dirt road.
Right.
You know, you're gonna have ruts in there, track all that mud on there. If you're gonna do it, you just wanna go to the west side of that driveway. You'll have to go 500 feet,
know.
I think, you know, to keep from having a
I
mess.
agree it needs to be done. We just have a new grocery store going out there and I don't
Yeah.
want people driving on millings or rock.
I understand.
And
Well, right
The
now
other
they're
thing
gonna
is
drive
too,
on
that
mud.
if we do that,
yeah, I mean, yeah,
if we do that, we got drainage to take care of in the middle of that too, you know, because we won't be able to get back in there once we do, so. I'll talk to Chris in the morning. I'll bring you
just
something.
work with them and
Sure, be glad to.
do it.
He said he'd be more than
I
happy
think
to
it's
figure it.
fair,
I
I
visited
think
with
it's
him
fair to
this evening.
say, I mean, at least
Yeah,
looking at
we
it
need
at
to
this
look
point.
into it and get an educated.
Okay,
Right.
all right. I'll be glad to. I'll have you something next meeting.
I mean, certainly, I mean, you're gonna have to have a base regardless, but
Right.
if you're gonna put something in, obviously, they're gonna recommend something to put down too, so if we're working towards that, maybe we can at least get a base down, working towards going to
I mean,
concrete.
it needs to be
You know.
surveyed and everything like that. I agree.
Okay,
I can see that, I can see those sides of it,
I'll take care of it.
so,
Be glad to.
anything else?
Because we'll probably be sitting in a pickup in the rain in the morning. I don't think he'll be working either. But we'll get it figured out.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank
Yep.
you, Jeff. No other old business, move on to new business, dumpster at the plant.
I don't know if you guys have seen, but we paid Unruh's $919 in the month of July to dump that dumpster 3 times. And if you guys have also seen, I'm assuming, Jamie, that's included in the solid waste fund report. The balance sheet of July, we collected 10,000 in solid waste and paid out 12,000.
That's
So
what I
it's
brought
starting
up.
to, and the accountant did bring that to our attention, you know, when we started this, we had quite a bit of money in it.
Sure.
Something for you guys to think about, and I don't wanna do anything tonight, but I know the city of Stafford does it, they have a dumpster, they charge every utility holder $1 a month. And it goes to the solid waste fund to keep that dumpster there and to keep it dumped.
Isn't it also locked behind a gate after
It
hours?
is locked behind the gate after hours. We don't really have that option because I'm not spending the money to put up a fence to put a
Sure,
dumpster.
sure.
But, yeah, you do have to call after hours.
Well, we have a camera on that dumpster though too, which they don't have. I mean, we can go
Right.
back, if there's something illegal dumped in it, we'll find them.
Sure, okay.
All I'm saying is I think it's something we need to think about, and maybe not, we don't have to enforce it this year, but the start of January.
Would you like it, the utility holder or each bill?
Each bill.
Okay.
If they have utilities, and it's not a, well, we don't use it, it's part of helping keep the city clean. Everybody pays for it, every utility bill gets it. Yes, unfortunately, it will cost me $36 a year because I have 3 utility bills. But I'm willing to pay it if it helps keep our town clean, you know.
I like that idea.
Right.
I think it would just help us because at some point in time, that solid waste fund is gonna be going down.
Right.
Especially if we're spending $2,000 or $3,000 a month over what we're bringing in.
Which, I mean, we're, you know, if we're dumping it we're getting things cleaned up.
And that's
So-
what I wanna continue to see. I
Right.
would rather
I mean, at
see
least it's
us
being used,
right.
so.
stay going that way rather than, but I wanted to give you guys the idea that I had and let you guys talk with citizens, see what they felt, how they felt about it. And I don't know, and John might be able to answer this, but would tearing down a house, John, be considered solid waste?
It really, I mean, I think the issues you run into, right, Jeff, are what's in the house.
Well, what I'm
Well,
saying is,
We take a lot of things down there, but we also have taken buildings in different shapes and forms by the trailer load. Which, you know, we put it out for people to throw couches, that type of stuff in there, but we have taken whole buildings.
what I'm saying is, you know, we do the cleanup once a year and that's free because the county opens up the pit. But, you know, if we got to the point of someone said, you know, I'll give the city a house but I can't afford to tear it down, can we use some of that solid waste money if we were to collect $1 from everybody to help clean up houses as well?
I don't know.
I mean, I know we,
As far as the funds,
right.
What it can be used
I
for.
mean, if the city owns a house and we tear it down and we haul it to the Stafford County landfill, that is considered hauling solid waste out there.
Maybe you could call it a revitalization fund or
Yeah,
something, when
but
you
I-
take that dollar or whatever you take.
I think that's kind of a question for the council
I don't know.
to answer.
I'll look into
It
it.
was just something to think
I
about.
mean, I don't see any kind of prohibition as far as legal prohibition. I think it's just an accounting issue.
Right.
I think it's a solid idea as far as asking citizens what they think about keeping this service.
That's why I said I
And I
didn't really
think
want to do
you'll,
it.
I think you'll
tonight.
you'll find some citizens that have no clue that it's there
Right.
Oh, yeah.
That's
and that it's
I've
available,
already ran into that.
and that it's available to them.
Right.
Oh,
Well, but
I
When
know
you
there's
put a
gonna be
house in
some
it, it's
people that are
full.
gonna say, well, I'm not gonna pay $12 a year. Well, I don't
you want
use
their,
it, I'm not
you want the
paying for it.
trash in their yard, or you want the trash in the dumpster?
You know, but there might be people that have neighbors that'd be like, well, I would double mine a year just so it's available so that my neighbors can continue to use it.
Sure.
You
I
know?
think it'd be a great idea to
I
talk to
mean,
people and see what they're thinking.
like I said, at $1, it may not cover all of our costs in a year, but it would sure take a lot
It's gonna.
off of the
It's
city
gonna
as
help
far
that.
as what comes out of
Well,
our
and the
budget
thing
at
is
the end of the
this
year.
is a service
Right,
to the people of the community.
and it's worked. I mean, Jeff, you guys clean up a lot less during pickup week than you
Oh,
used to.
yeah, the last year has been way less than what it was, but you know, we have people that aren't very mindful too. I mean, they'll pile it up till it's running off the sides, and it has to be level
Right,
or below when they haul it, so we have to shove it off. And if you see it down there, it's not necessarily somebody dumping. It's from the time we call it in until they pick it up. We've had to peel the top off of them and then take it and put it back in the next dumpster.
Right.
So, I mean, it's, you can
Right.
just about bet set your watch by it, every 9 days, it leaves.
Right.
So, I mean, it's
and it
3
looks
times.
like
a lot of
roughly
money.
about $300 a time to dump it.
Yeah,
And
it's
the
a little
money-
over
The money at the
$300.
time that this was put in was there, and now we're running to the fact.
I
that we
don't know
have
if
the
we're
funds.
running out of money, but the accountant, you know, I think there was 68 or 70,000 when we started
Should be
it
self-sufficient.
2.5 years ago.
Right, so we need, do people want to continue to see
Right.
this program
Right.
working or not?
And that's why I
Because we
wanted to
have to
bring
find
it
a way
up.
to pay for the program to work.
And we've been trying to get the word out there, like, I think this last time, we called it in, Thursday? It still wasn't done Tuesday.
Yeah, sometimes, it depends, you know, sometimes it
So-
depends on how much building and stuff they're doing like in Great Bend, because they probably got 30 of them or 40, but them guys I know, that one guy told me that day, he said, we run like scalded dogs dumping these things all the time.
Yeah,
And he said he just keeps buying more and dragging them in, because,
but we are trying to get the word out to be a little bit more mindful about what you're putting, like, we have signs out there, what can and can't go in there.
Sure.
Don't
English and
overfill
Spanish
it,
both.
so.
I mean, and we'll barricade it off. If it gets too full, we'll barricade it off to keep people from dumping it. But we've had people that drop it on the ground, drive off too. I mean, it's just part of the deal. You try to be decent and that's what you get, but I mean, 99 out of 100 of them will leave. And they'll wait for the dumpster before they come back, but some of them don't. I mean, it's just a, it's a fact of life. But most of them are really good about taking care of it.
Yeah.
So,
Good idea.
Well, I think it's a great idea.
I just like give us some time to talk.
Yeah.
and
Sure.
You talk with,
input.
talk with the citizens, see what they think, so it's a good idea.
Very good.
That's it.
Okay, other new business. Looking at executive session section here.
Well, I don't know, I'm missing half the council. 5 maybe.
You went now?
5,
5 minutes?
make a motion for 5 minutes to discuss attorney-client privilege regarding the Willinger case,
To include,
to include counsel
Yeah, everybody's table.
and city clerk.
Second.
motion and a second to reconvene at 8:30. All in favor? All opposed, carries 3-0. Has one person in it, the other doesn't.
Not that I'm asking you to take so long.
No, sure, I got it. Call the meeting back to order at 8:30. No action taken at this time. Moving on, next item in executive session, entertain a motion for 5 minutes to discuss personnel matters of non-elected personnel pursuant to hiring a part-time officer to include council, mayor, attorney, sergeant, and clerk, to reconvene at 8:36.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, Brent Sanders, any discussion? All in favor? All opposed, carries 3-0. Meeting will reconvene at 8:36. Call the meeting back to order at 8:36.
I'd make a motion to hire Marty Bell at $16.50 an hour as a part-time police officer.
Second.
A motion and a second, Sanders and Bryant, any other discussion? All in favor? All opposed, carries 3-0. Okay, moving on to the next executive session. 5 minutes to discuss personnel matters and non-elected personnel pursuant to employee performance regarding police department to include council, mayor, and attorney.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Carries 3-0. We'll reconvene at what? 8:42? Call the meeting back to order at 8:42. At this time, I would entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion to move Bill Elliott's pay from $17 an hour to $18 an hour, effective,
August 7th was our last meeting.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
That was
retroactive.
the
to-
promotion.
Second.
What works best, Jamie? Pay period? Last pay period? Or does it make any difference?
The promotion was the Tuesday the
To
7th.
the, retroactive to the 7th.
Anything from you?
Payday was the 5th, wasn't
The 5th and the 20th.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed, carries 3-0. No other business, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed, carries 3-0. Meeting adjourned at 8:43.